to Stupid Ideas from Bad Creative, Season 2, Episode 10, the finale of Season 2. Let's go. I'm joined by Sid.
Let's
Hello,
go.
Sid.
How we going?
So,
Let's get it.
before we get into names, we're doing the Montreal Screwjob, which, oh boy, this is going to be great. Just, what do you think the Montreal Screwjob is?
I was just about to say, I cannot help but think of the movie The Italian Job,
Yeah, right.
just because immediately uh, jumps to mind. But in terms of Montreal, Canada,
Yeah.
um, we've mentioned, look, I've got some cheats because we've mentioned previously that we have a particular Canadian wrestler with a very large Canadian fan base. And well, he uh, he gets done over a little bit. But what I'm looking forward to is you've said that during this episode, I will have a chance to sort of see the other side of the story and decide who was really in the wrong here, which I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing how there's another side to a story like this.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, let's get into some names. Do you know who Shawn Michaels is?
I do.
Bret Hart.
Yes.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Son of a bitch.
Yep, yeah, he's a part of this. What about Triple H?
Yes.
China.
The country?
No, China. She
The
was
wrestler.
she was a wrestler.
Oh. Oh, wait. No. But anyway, let's go.
X-Pac.
We've mentioned that one,
Yeah.
but no, I don't know a lot.
Road Dogg Jesse James.
No.
Badass Billy Gunn.
No, but I'm feeling they might be part of the same gang.
Yeah, they're all part of DX.
There we go.
What about Gerald Briscoe? Pat Patterson.
No.
Alright. What about um No, I can't remember the referee of the match now. I was going to do the referee. Anyway, moving on. The Montreal Screwjob. It's one of the most talked about and famous moments in wrestling history. We're in
Wow.
1997. Bret
Okay.
Hart, his contract set to expire, and he's going to WCW, who had offered him a contract. And Bret took that contract to Vince and said to him, if you can match it or come close to it, I'll stay. Vince told him, go. He said that there was no way he could match that offer or anywhere close. Go to WCW.
I had a very similar conversation with my boss last week.
Yep, right. We'll see if it goes
Sorry,
in the same direction.
I had to mention it because it was an eerily similar conversation. Anyway, press on.
Yeah, well, let's see if your situation mirrors this one. So, yeah, Vince says go to WCW, we can't match that contract. Whatever, right? So right now, the two sides, I will tell you it's Vince versus Bret, the two sides are on the same terms at this point.
Mm-hmm.
In August of 97, Bret Hart wins the WWF title from The Undertaker at SummerSlam in a match where Shawn Michaels was special guest ref, and if Bret lost, he could never wrestle in the United States ever again.
Yikes.
Okay. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart also had a feud, like a real feud, outside of the ring. They did not like each other. They fought each other backstage. Yeah. Shawn accused Bret Hart of having an affair with a valet called Sonny. So, fair to say, they don't like each other.
Yeah, yep.
We now get to Survivor Series in November. It's in Bret's home country of Canada, and it's Bret versus Shawn with the title on the line. With Bret leaving, Vince had asked Bret to drop the belt to Shawn. Bret refused and said that he would drop the belt in America but not in Canada because it's Canada.
Mm.
Shawn, Brett, and Vince all come to an agreement on how they would end the match, and that was that Owen Hart, Jim Neidhart, and Davey Boy Smith, which were Brett's allies, would brawl with Shawn's allies in DX, being Triple H, China, who would have gotten involved in the match. The match would have been thrown out. However, Vince would have paranoid ideas. Here we go. Vince, who 2 years earlier had let WWF Women's Champion Alundra Blaze leave WWF for WCW while she was the champion, and she showed up with the belt on WCW and threw it in the bin. Vince, being Vince, was concerned that something like this would happen, so he had another idea. Here we go. Now, it's largely debated as to who was aware of this idea going in, but we know for a fact that Vince, Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe, and Shawn Michaels all knew about it. The referee for the match, Earl Hebner, stated that he didn't know what was going to happen until 10 minutes before the show, but Shawn says that he had told him a couple of hours earlier, and Brett, who had been warned about a screw job from Davey Boy and Vader, had asked Hebner if he knew if he was going to screw him, to which Hebner said he would rather quit than screw Brett. Okay. So the match happened as Hart and Michaels planned. However, Brett did notice that Vince wasn't on commentary, but was standing ringside with Sergeant Slaughter. You know that one.
I do.
The match continued as normal until Shawn Michaels locked in the sharpshooter, which is Bret Hart's finisher, and Hebner got up, called for the bell, and that was that. Shawn won by submission. Despite Bret not tapping out or anything, he locked it in. Hebner went, ring the bell, match is over, Shawn wins. So, that there is the screw job. Yep. Hebner, by the point that Shawn was announced as winner, was already leaving the arena. He was gone.
Mans was legging it.
Out of the ring, out of the arena by the time they said, and your winner, Shawn Michaels. Jim Ross, who was a commentator, was asking what was happening. Shawn was acting confused, but took the belt and left with Triple H and Briscoe. Brett got to his feet and spat in Vince's face, wrote WCW with his finger at the hard cam, WCW. He then smashed cameras, monitors, other equipment at ringside before heading to the back. Backstage, Undertaker was absolutely pissed and demanded Vince explain himself, and due to this, allowed Brett to get to Vince, which resulted in Brett punching Vince. On the 17th of November, Jim Ross would ask Vince on Raw in an interview, did you or did you not screw Bret Hart? To which Vince responded that some would say I screwed Bret Hart. Bret Hart would definitely tell you that I screwed him. I look at it from a different standpoint. I look at it from the standpoint of the referee did not screw Bret Hart. Shawn Michaels certainly did not screw Bret Hart. Nor did Vince McMahon screw Bret Hart. I truly believe that Bret Hart screwed Bret Hart. And he can look in the mirror and know that. The quote, Bret screwed Bret, or simply, Bret Hart screwed Bret Hart, simply Bret screwed Bret, is what some people believe started the Attitude Era. That's the screw job. So, what do you want to talk about?
And so, Brett did then proceed to WCW.
Yep.
And he got his contract, and he still had a career over there.
Not exactly. He got over there. They sort of didn't really do much with him. He joined the NWO, blah, blah, blah. And then had a match with Goldberg, got kicked in the head, got concussed bad enough that he had to retire.
Okay, but still got his contract. The point is, this screw job, I guess my thing was, he didn't get screwed in the sense that, it fucked up his next thing. They just screwed him for his final match.
Yes. Yep.
Yikes.
Yeah. So,
Look, I can understand why Vince was concerned that Brett would, do something that had just happened with a previous star.
yep.
Um, and so, and I can understand. Nah, but then look, if it came out that there were rumors floating around, if it wasn't just Vince's paranoia, like if there were actual rumors, if there were whispers that Brett was actually planning to do this,
Yep.
then I can understand them doing to him what they did.
Yep. So, yeah. Vince's side is going, he's our champion and he's got the belt. We need to get that off of him. Brett's there going, I'm not dropping the belt in Canada. Which
Yeah.
side are you on?
Wait, but I thought we came to some sort of agreement. Like, oh, that's right. Yeah, he didn't want to drop the belt in Canada.
Yeah.
But, we were going to have a match interference and,
Yep.
and do it that way,
And
which
then
honestly would have been entertaining.
Yeah, then
It
he
would have been a
dropped the
great
belt
idea.
later. Was basically
Yeah.
it. At the next show, Royal Rumble or whatever, he'll drop the belt there in wherever it was, like Texas or
But
something.
I suppose, yeah. Look, I can't see that Brett screwed Brett.
No, he didn't. That
That
was
doesn't
just
that doesn't make that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
no. That's just the way. That's just Vince
Um,
being Vince.
yeah. As for yeah, and to call the match the way the ref did, he was obviously they definitely could have, even if they were gonna screw him and not do it the way they planned, there were probably more elegant ways to go about it than to
Yeah.
to call him without tapping.
So the big question: whose side are you on?
Brett's,
Brett's?
but I say that with so little confidence because it's just the whole thing just seems kind of petty to me.
Yeah.
Just like the reason that this happened was so unnecessary. Like the original idea was so good. Um, but yeah.
Right. Well.
No, I'm on no, I'm on Brett's side, and
Brett
but I guess the reason I'm a little hesitant there as well, is for him to then go and smash cameras, monitors,
and all that shit.
and all that shit unnecessary. But then to see someone like Taker take Brett's side and be mad at Vince, I think that's where that Vince is in the wrong here.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it is about Taker, but something about him strikes me as like a very well. I think it's more he's been with the company for so long.
Yeah.
And he seems like a very I don't know something about him just strikes me as a very moral person, not character, but like person.
Yeah.
So for him to be like Vince, this is breaking showbiz rules.
Yeah.
Like you've done wrong here.
Yep.
That's
very
valid to me.
Yeah. So I used to always be on Brett's side, yes. And then I learnt more about it, and I see why Vince did it. I understand why Vince did it.
Yeah.
I do think that he went about it the wrong way.
Oh, 100%.
But I can 100% understand what he did. And the fact that, even thinking about it now, The whole reason why it happened was because Brett didn't want to lose in Canada.
Yeah,
That
yeah. Well, that's it, and that's the other reason I'm sort of like, Brett knew he was going to a different company, which, sorry, buddy, you can't always go out on a fucking high.
yeah,
Um,
like
you can't have your cake and eat it too. Sort of
no,
is a very aptly applied to this situation.
yeah,
You can't, get your fancy new contract and go somewhere else, and also screw the other guy on the way out. Like,
yeah,
especially when Vince was so cordial about Brett leaving.
yeah. Now the
Awesome.
other issue is that knowing that Brett's leaving, why give him the belt?
Yeah.
So what went wrong? Technically, nothing went wrong, if we're being honest,
No.
because it went
Yeah.
exactly as Vince planned. Um,
Hmm.
Looking at the cause of the screw job, Brett not dropping the belt is obviously an issue. But if you go back
Mm.
further, allowing Brett to leave and giving him the belt, you know, all things that, yeah, right. Also, Brett had a 20-year deal with WWE that Vince couldn't pay, so that's when he said, if they offer you a contract, we'll end this one and go there. So
Hmm.
just keep him in that deal. Just do whatever you have to pay that deal and keep him in.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's not going to drop the belt in Canada, right? Maybe don't put a stipulation on the title match at SummerSlam that says if he loses, he'll have to leave, well, not be able to wrestle in the US, so that
Yeah.
Taker can retain the belt there and he can still run Shawn and Brett and
Yeah.
at Survivor Series, and you can have Brett go over because you know he's not going to lose. So
Yeah.
yeah, and next, since Brett does hold the belt because he does, he's refusing to drop his belt in Canada. Just let him drop it in America. Have him retain here,
Yeah.
and then within the next month, get him to drop it then. So what went
Yeah.
wrong was it was a shit situation that Vince allowed to happen because he allowed Brett
Mm.
to leave. And he also allowed Brett to win the belt and wouldn't allow Brett to leave Canada as the champion. That's what went wrong.
Yep.
You know, all of those things
He's
went wrong.
his head was too far up his own ass.
Yeah. So how do we fix it? I mean, we've talked about that. You know, you just keep him in the
Yeah.
contract. You don't give him the belt. You let him drop it at a later date. So many ways you
Or
can fix this.
you literally run the match the way you had discussed. Yeah, and then like you said, drop it later.
Yeah.
Like,
So
and it would have been entertaining. It would have been a good, yeah.
yeah, there is no reason why they couldn't have just gone. We'll just let Brett drop it. You know, tomorrow when we go back to America.
So I'm sure the crowd would have been furious with the way that match played out as well.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, so anyway, how does this help WWE? Well, in the immediate aftermath, it depends on what we do. If we keep him in his contract, well,
Mm.
we've still got Brett, so it doesn't matter. If we don't give him the belt, then it doesn't affect WWE at all. And if we let him drop the belt later, it might raise ticket sales for a few other shows, whenever the hell he's going to
Yeah.
drop it, which means a bit more money. So, you know,
And also, you're not gonna hurt your Canadian viewership.
yeah,
Um, your transfer of Brett, it'll be eh, removing Brett from the WWF to the WCW is going to be less traumatic. You're gonna lose less fans in that transfer if it's a more amicable transfer. If you're happy to let him go and he's happy to go, fans are gonna be like, oh, this is cool. We'll keep watching both. But with a bit of a fuck you at the end, it's very much like fans are also going to be like, screw you, we're going with him. Um,
yeah,
like, yeah, like Vince is while he's screwing Brett, he's also hurt his own image. Um, which can only do them damage.
Not exactly. And I'll get to that in a
Oh,
second. But I will say that Bret Hart never returned WWE until 2010 after this. And also, when Bret goes to WCW, obviously he gets injured. So if we don't send him to WCW and we keep him in WWE, he actually has a career. But to talk about what you were saying with Vince hurting his image and that being only a bad thing.
right.
By doing this, this is where people say the Attitude Era starts, right? So if we change it in any way, technically some people would see the Attitude Era not starting here.
Yeah.
Which could be a bad thing, possibly.
Which is a terrible thing.
Yeah. But that's because people credit the Bret screwed Bret line with creating the Mr. McMahon character being Austin's rival in the Attitude Era and also starting the Attitude Era. So when you say that it hurts Vince and that can only hurt WWE,
quite the opposite.
It actually did the opposite.
Quite the opposite. It made Vince a huge heel, which helped his career.
Yeah. So,
made him, because before this, was Vince much of a character before this?
No, before, like, if depends on how far back you go, but he was a commentator for a while, and then he sort of became the owner, and he was still sort of doing commentary, but people then knew that he was the owner, so then it was Vince, he was the owner, he made the decisions, and everybody knew that, and that was fine. But no, he never really had much of a character per se. He was just.
Whereas now, he's worked into the script himself, and
Yeah. So.
Which.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which simultaneously caused some problems, but also did a lot for the show, because who better to call an asshole than
the boss,
the guy running the show? Yeah.
And like a lot of people say, imagine being Austin that time, being able to beat your boss up every week. People would kill for that.
Because who doesn't want to walk into the office and just like slam their boss on the desk some days?
And the majority of people watching the product is they're going, I wish I could do that. I want to see.
So this is
escapism, basically.
they're living vicariously through this.
Which we've talked about before. So this was a very fun story because it's such a shit show. I feel, because at so many points they could have just changed one thing and everything would have been fine. And yet they did. They chose chaos.
But I guess this is one of the first episodes we've done where the outcome of a bad idea has actually been beneficial. And so, as you said, it's one of the few bad ideas that we are cautious to get rid of. Because it could screw us harder than the bad idea itself.
Yes. Because I think this is probably only the second episode where we haven't rebooked it. Because the first one being Choppy Choppy PP is too short to rebook. This one isn't. It's just where you change it changes so much stuff that you might ruin the Attitude Era by not doing it.
Considering,
because at any point you don't do something, you don't get the Bret screwed Bret bit, which doesn't create Mr. McMahon, which doesn't give you Austin McMahon, which means it doesn't matter. The Attitude Era was stuffed at that point. You might still get Rock and Austin, but you don't get Austin McMahon, which is what drew in everybody anyway. So, this is
which brought you back from the slump of the 90s.
So I'm not rebooking this. Like I said, you can change a few things, but I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't.
And so in the comments, I'll be really interested to see which sides our viewers take, but as well,
Why?
I'd be really interested to see why, but also if anyone learnt something new here and had their side changed. You know, if someone was previously pro Brett and by listening to this has gone shit, you got a point and have
Yeah.
switched because of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think that is it for this episode and this season of Stupid Ideas, which, it's been a fun one being in the 90s the whole time.
It has.
Yeah, turns out there's a lot of things in the 90s that qualify for this show. I've got a few ideas for next season. So, we're, we're going Saudi Arabia a fair bit by the looks, or at least twice. We're covering a bit of racism, and also we're going to be sitting in the mid 2000 or late 2000s, early 2010s for a fair bit too. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I think everything here, none of it takes place in the 90s at all. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe channel, hit notification bell, follow the Facebook, Twitch, and X. Links to those are in the description. Let me know what you thought of the episode, what side you're on, why you're on that side, and if you changed your mind due to watching this video, in the comment section down below. Other than that, thanks for watching, goodbye, and good night.